Now, heroes. I'm not, how do you think about heroes? When I think of heroes, I think we typically think of people who are selfless. I actually don't think selfless is the right word. I think real heroes have an enormous expanded sense of self. They see others as a part of them, whether that's in combat, dying to save your brothers in arms, or whether it's something even on the larger scale. And so when I think of heroes, the first things that come to my mind is Abraham Lincoln, one of my great heroes. And the other thing I find about heroes that I think of is that they tend to be poets. And Abraham Lincoln said, "As I would not own a slave, I would not be a slave." In 6 words, defined why abolition had to happen and why we're still fighting that fight today. And then I think of Martin Luther King, who said, "I have a dream." We have a dream. And dreams are the vital currency of the future. And so we really love celebrating the heroes of n-Lorem. And they are people who contribute without any value returning to them, who are, some would say selfless, I would say have a giant expanded sense of self. And so this is great fun for me, and I know all these people. And so one of the hardest, maybe the hardest job to fill at Ionis was head of clinical research. Because the pipeline is enormous and complex. It runs from the rare pediatric neurological diseases all the way up to the very large cardiometabolic renal diseases. And you had to know about antisense, and you had to work in an environment that was unbelievably demanding. I know, I created it, and you had to live with me. And so I spent some time working my way through people, and ultimately I found Eugene Schneider. Or maybe it was Richard Geary who found Eugene Schneider, and I agreed, who knows. But Eugene is Executive Vice President, I have to read these because the titles are so long, Executive Vice President and Chief Clinical Development Officer at Ionis, my company. And I've known Eugene for quite a long time. He's a very quiet, very modest, very thoughtful fellow. And so when I decided to start n-Lorem, many people at Ionis volunteered. It's a wonderful place, Ionis. And among them, Eugene. And when we formed the Drug Safety Monitoring Board, Eugene was the perfect person to do that because he knows antisense extremely well. He's completely aware of all of the data being generated across the pipeline at Ionis, and so we have the most up-to-date safety information. And he's a thoughtful fellow. And so as our first hero of n-Lorem today, please welcome Eugene Schneider for doing all he does. And he gets a big reward. He gets a plaque signed by me, and he gets to shake my hand, which he's done about 1,000 times over the years. Eugene, thanks very much. Thanks.
Thank you. Sounds good
to see you. Yeah.
Wasn't counting on this. Sorry, I'm not much for speeches, but I really owe a lot to Ionis and to Stan and to Roseanne and to Len for taking a chance 11 years ago. It's been 11 years, hard to believe when you were having fun. And it was a big decision to move cross-country, to leave this great city of Boston and move to join ISIS, as I would tell my friends, in San Diego, California. the good news, I was moving in December, so it made it slightly more palatable to leave Boston and come to San Diego. But thank you for taking a chance to allow me to work on SMA, which is one of those unique projects that if you're lucky, once in your lifetime, you have an opportunity to see the impact that truly transformational medicine makes in lives of families. Thank you for that opportunity, and I would, as you mentioned, I am quiet, but we argued a lot, and I would challenge you that this does not provide any direct benefit to us. I certainly do not agree that I am not drawing the benefit of being a part of this journey of n-Lorem. And kudos to you and the n-Lorem team for really absolutely phenomenal job. And it is a pleasure and a privilege to be part of this.
Thanks, Eugene. So Eugene gets this piece of plastic thing there, and or whatever it is, and then he gets that thing signed by me, and he can put that on, his bathroom wall or whatever.
I don't have a bathroom wall.
Oh, okay. Well, that's bad. You probably need some walls. Okay, thanks, Eugene. If you run organizations for any length of time, you learn pretty clearly that there's a hierarchy, and these are the people who are anointed by, the senior people to run things. And then there are the heroes, and they're elected by the people who work with them. And you can always tell who the hero is, because if you ask a hard question, the room gets quiet, and then everybody turns to the same guy. And our next hero is one of those quiet sort of people who just work and do, and everyone in the organization knows that they can count on that person to do the right thing in the right way for the right reason. And Cytiva has been a great contributor to n-Lorem. Modern science is driven by modern machines, modern instruments. You can't practice modern science if you don't have modern instruments. And Cytiva makes a lot of the instruments that are necessary to do the work that we do. And so Cytiva has given us millions of dollars worth of free equipment, among other things, so we could build our lab and then build our next lab and expand. And they've also been strong contributors in terms of just dollars and strong supporters. And so, and they're the almost perfect donor, because they call us up and ask, well, what is it that you need this year? Which is really nice. Normally, you have to knock on the door and say, I need some money, but Cytiva takes care of that for us. They just call us and say, okay, let us get it for you. And so really I'm very pleased to honor Kurt Andersson, who is our local hero from Cytiva. Kurt, thank you very much.
Thank you, Stan. Much appreciated. You happy the Yankees lost yesterday, or what?
I'm happy the Yankees lost, but I'm really sad that the Braves weren't in the playoffs. That's the team I root for, but
Okay.
I always root against the Yankees.
All right. Yeah, this is a huge honor, obviously, and I didn't write a speech, but my wife did. So we'll see what we're going to come up with. Well, thank you, Stan. And yeah, it's a great pleasure to receive this on behalf of Cytiva and my colleagues Karina and Ryan. And I also would like to say thank you to Amy, my beautiful wife. Hi, Amy. And as I said, I'm sharing this award with Karina and Ryan, which you were here. They have been part of this from day one, and we couldn't have done it without them, because Ryan took us through all the legal thing. It was easy to write down a long list with all the products. That's not a problem, and find out how much they were worth. And last year when I typed it all in, I never entered any order in the magnitude of $600,000-700,000. I wish it had gone to me, but it was a pleasure to do it. And Justin did the same this year. And then Amy, thank you for supporting me. Remember you wrote this. Kurt, remember to bring out the garbage on Friday. Oops, that was probably not supposed to be there. But as I told earlier, I've been with Cytiva for 45 years and 8 different changes. And one of the earliest encounters with company was back in '95 when I started working with ISIS at the time and then Ionis. And it's been such a good pleasure to do that because they've been super open, very pragmatic over everything. And yeah, it's just been a great pleasure. So with that, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Good. So I can't remember exactly when. I'm sure Neil will remember, but some years ago I heard the name Neil Shneider, and it was, you know, can we make this free ASO to treat a patient named JC who had a disease I knew nothing about, heard nothing about, called FUS ALS, and we agreed to do it, and we did, and Neil treated her, and he had gone to great lengths to have this person treated. And then another patient appeared. Her name is Anna. I've shown her video many times. She's now 5 years being treated with what we call J-sufficient now. And she's had 5 years that she would not have had without that ASO. And so naturally, when n-Lorem materialized, among the people who were immediately anxious to help and be supportive was Neil Shneider. Happened to be in the same institution as Wendy Chung, who was, you'll hear later in the day, was truly instrumental in getting what we needed to do done in the clinic, and Jen Bain, all in the same institution. And so he is the Claire Tao Associate Professor of Motor Neuron Disorders and the director of the Eleanor and Lou Gehrig ALS Center. We know who those people are, at Columbia University. And Neil has contributed to n-Lorem in multiple ways. Of course, he's contributed patients. He's introduced us to the NIH and opportunities for a grant called the Urgent Grant. He's joined the board. He's contributed intellectually in a variety of ways for us. And so, Neil, congratulations. Thank you. You're a hero. Thanks to you.
Well, thank you, Stan. It's very nice to be singled out as a hero in a room full of heroes. I have to say, in a long career, my work with n-Lorem has been amongst the most satisfying work that I've done. And the more I do with n-Lorem, the more committed I am to the mission of this great organization. And I thank you very much for this honor.
And next year we'll celebrate some additional heroes. And I agree with Neil. This is undoubtedly a room full of heroes, people who are living with the challenges of nano-rare diseases and their family, people who aren't, but are here anyway and desirous of contributing. And so thank you for being heroes. Let's go have lunch.